as you know, we have 2 visitor centers, one at Jacuzzi, one at the plaza. People call us, text us, email us. They slide into our DMs and they ask us all sorts of questions about visiting Sonoma Valley. Right now, you're going to help me. You're now deputized as volunteers in the section we call We Get Questions. Here we go. This actually happened too, by the way. A man walked into our visitor center and said, in Boys Springs some years ago, there was a huge swimming pool. It was really big. Is it still there?
Depends how many years ago. There is still a pool in Boys Springs.
Right.
Which is now, I don't think it's open at the moment, but I think it's called Oasis.
Right.
I did run that pool for about 12 years, Sonoma Aquatic Club.
It's not that pool.
It's not that.
It's a huge pool. It was
I think it was. I thought it was the pool that was there before Sonoma Aquatic Club was there.
Do you know?
Agua Caliente. Do you remember that pool?
This is a deep cut. This is a Sonoma Springs
deep cut. It had like a big grassy area, and it had a big pool. I think it's in that same location.
On Bay Street.
So here's
that was. I'm not that old.
Well, in true Sonoma Valley fashion, before I came here, I was like, I know there's got to be something there because there were a bunch of resorts in the Springs. Before it was called the Springs, it was actually Agua Caliente, Boys Hot Springs, Fetter's Hot Springs, and for some reason we include El Verano, even though it's not in a direct line for this, but it's like a triangle.
There's
right?
some great old photos.
There's great old photos. Remember, like all these beautiful resorts. Before I came here, I go to Sonoma Market, and who is sitting there at the salad bar where I was trying to get salad? But Patricia Cullinan with the Sonoma Valley Historical Society. Oh. In true Sonoma fashion, I come up, I don't even say hello, and I ask her this question. And she gives me this whole story that there was an enormous pool resort in the Springs. And it's no longer there. It's currently housing. But it was a really big swimming pool back in the day.
Property. So they built the housing on the other side from where Sonoma Aquatic Club was.
Yep.
And the pool is there as well, but it went all the way to the creek. And the Valettis ran it, I believe. And I think they used to dump the water of one of the pools into the creek every night and then refill it.
So that's the creek, and also back when there were the fumaroles of the warm water, you could occasionally tap into it. Supposedly, there's still houses in the springs that have access to the hot springs.
It comes out at 98 degrees.
It's
really
beautiful. Really old memories.
Deep cut. Yeah. So the pool has been filled in. The original pool this gentleman was probably referring to as near housing, but I think to your point, the current pool, which I think is called Sonoma
it's
Oasis now, that might be after the fact, to a successor to it. So there you go. Good job. You answered that question correctly. Dang. This gentleman was really smart.
Thank you.
Here's one. I want to go hike the Overlook Trail. Do I have to park all the way in the cemetery?
No, you can park on 5th Street West and go from the other side, right?
You go the other side there, yeah. That's the Tonyon Trail, I think is what it's called. It goes in there. Yeah. You can also
there's access through Montini as well.
And also through Montini. Also, you can go all the way in the cemetery, or right before you go in the cemetery, off 1st Street West, you go up. There's a little trailhead right there. There's a little parking spot right there. But you can also go. The cemetery is beautiful, and it gives you time to reflect.
Several ways.
But yeah, a lot of ways to get into it. The Overlook Trail and the Montini Preserve does connect with it, and you can make a longer hike right there. I'm sure you guys do the Overlook. It's a nice hike.
It's beautiful.
Even though it's not underwater.
It took me so long to actually do the Overlook Trail. I've lived here since 95, I believe. And at some point I went up there and I got up there and I think my older daughter, who's now 25, I think at the time she was maybe like 19 or 20. I mean, so all those years of living here without doing the Overlook Trail. And I got up there and I thought, what on earth? What has kept me from this?
Why haven't I done this? Because it's literally from the plaza. The trailhead is about, I don't know, if you're driving 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's not far.
If you're walking, it's a couple minutes.
It's gorgeous because it's multi-views. It's wooded. There's a quarry along part of it. There are deer.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
There's wildflowers.
There's also, and this is not to dissuade people, but do pay attention. I did see a really awesome rattlesnake up there once. It was impressive. I mean, that's
certain
good.
times a year, especially when it gets warmer.
The deer are definitely, and it's beautiful.
And then you can see our town from above, which is really fun to point out various things you know.
And on a clear day, you see all the way to San Francisco, right?
I hear on a clear day, you can see Sonoma Splash from the top
I don't know.
of Overlook Trail. Okay, here's another question we got. Hey, I saw a VW bus that appeared to be a tour or something at a winery. What is that?
Oh, I think it's the Lodge's bus.
Oh, the lodge at Sonoma does have a VW bus. You're right.
And I
But
think there might be like a wedding venue or something, somebody that rents out
VW buses? There's actually, that's a good point. There's actually 2 companies that have VW buses for wine tours. One does old school VW microbuses, the kind that we all remember. And that's called West Wine Tours, and they do those tours. One has a new VW electric bus, which looks like the old ones, but is electric, and I think it's called Vines and Rides. And they do these tours, and they're really fun. So a lot of different ways to go visit wineries and things like that. So, yeah, did you guys ever have a VW bus as a kid?
Did not. We had friends that had one, but no, I never had one.
Did you ever, Allyson?
Yes, and we actually have one now.
Wait, maybe. Do you want a new job,
A
Allyson?
new wine tour.
If this whole Sonoma Splash thing, Red Grape thing, whatever else you
My
do.
husband loves his bus.
Does he really?
Lowered, and it's
it's lowered?
tricked out.
So
there's no guarantee you'll get from A to B.
okay, I was gonna bring that
And
point
you
up.
always smell like gasoline
Yes.
when you get out of the car.
Allyson, we had a VW bus, and I think we have 4 kids in my family, and we would go to Bear Valley from up in the mountains, and there's a town called Copperopolis, which is between
Yeah,
here and
I
there,
know where that is.
and that's where our VW bus just decided all the time to die. Like, this is my time to die. It's 110 degrees or whatever, and there's this oak tree where I remember it would just always seem to die right there, and great memories of my childhood. But
We drive through Copperopolis every summer when we go up to Pinecrest.
oh yeah, see exactly, yeah, that's a good lake to swim in.
It's a great
And you
lake
go
to
fishing up there and stuff like that. So
Larry Murphy drove me to high school every day of high school at Justin Siena.
In a
To
VW
Justin
bus?
Siena in a VW bus.
Larry Murphy, and they
The
just
late, great, totally great Larry Murphy.
they just named a bridge after him.
They sure did.
I was at the unveiling of that bridge. I saw your brother was there. You were probably there too.
I was there.
And that was fun. That was Larry Murphy was a mayor, city council member, bar owner, storyteller. I never met him, but he seemed like quite a guy.
Oh,
So
it's kind of like an uncle to me.
yeah, that's a great story there. Here's a question we got this morning.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
At the visitor center,
Okay.
where's my car parked? We get that question a lot.
Where is my car parked?
People forget where their car is because here's the deal.
You?
Yeah, they do. Because here's the deal. They come up to this and go, I remember I was on the part of City Hall that has an arch.
Okay.
Except there's one problem with our City Hall.
4 sides.
4 sides are exactly the same. So people always forget what side of the plaza they were on.
funny.
It always happens. Because the City Hall's, look at that stone building when I got out, and it has a big arch on it. I say, oh, our City Hall is exactly the same on all 4 sides because the merchants didn't want to look at the back of City Hall. So they put the front.
I'm impressed that they had the nerve to ask that question.
Oh, you'd be amazed the questions we get. You'd be amazed. So the answer, we eventually worked it out. She was over by the Red Grape. So we worked on that direction. We kind of did some, what do you remember? What did you pass? That really helps out. So it's smart. Final question for you guys. This is easy. You're doing a great job, by the way. So if you want a new job.
So is she.
I know. Well, both
You're
you
only
are.
pointing at me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't think either of us answered that
Jane,
question.
you're-
Actually, about the car park.
Well, that's what's impossible to answer. And that's
So
why
you're doing great.
And Jane, you're really encouraging. You don't yell at
thank
people,
you.
so thank you.
And you haven't yelled at
I should yell. Okay. Here's one we got. I saw a group of people holding signs and chanting in front of City Hall by a big, tall palm tree. Is this normal?
Yes, it is. On
It's a-
Fridays especially.
Tell me about it. What happens?
There are protests on
it's
Fridays in
fantastic.
front of City Hall.
It's
an
a
active town.
it's a very Sonoma thing to do.
Yes.
On any Friday, except maybe rainy or inclement weather, or when the world is perfect, which is not that often, people will exercise their First Amendment rights. And in Sonoma, it's this town. They show up. I saw a guy.
You just give them a little toot toot as you go by.
That is exactly it. And I saw a guy get out with his flag, hopped out of a car right in front of Valley Bar and Bottle. And I couldn't say he ran because he was a slightly older gentleman, but he went with purpose right there. And he joined. And right now there's one because it's Friday when we record these. And so I tell people, if you want to come and be a part of a protest here in Sonoma and exercise your First Amendment rights, that is a long, hallowed tradition here.
It is.
And Allyson, I think that was part of your childhood, I hear. So
It was. Mm-hmm.
see,
Yeah.
I'm hearing these stories.
And this is something that's not, I don't know. You're probably still asking questions. Are you still asking the questions?
My final question.
Yes.
My coach doesn't yell at me as a swimmer. Is that bad?
No, that's not. I'm not saying I don't ever yell, just not really.
Man, our high school swim coach yelled.
No, I don't.
Yelled.
I don't usually do that.
No, that's it. I'm done with the questions.
I don't usually do that.
You've answered all the questions correctly, so you guys can now be volunteers.